Hi, my name is Kathy Skipper and I'm a menopause midwife. Welcome to my channel, The Alchemy of Menopause. I thought it would be fun in this video to share with you the tools I use for navigating the feminine psyche. These are tools that I put into place when I went through my menopause journey. I'm 60 now, so I'm well out of it, but they're tools for life. I use them every day. So let me share them with you. I'm not saying you should use these tools, but I'm hoping that they will inspire you to gather the tools that you need for this beautiful transformational journey that menopause can be if we surrender to it. And if we surrender to it, what we're actually surrendering to is a journey inwards. So we're going from being in the external world, learning about ourselves, which is what we do when we're younger. We learn about ourselves by going into the world, working, building relationships. And then at this point in our lives, the invitation is to go inwards. And we need different tools for going inwards than we do for going into the world. And that's why I want to share them with you. So my first and most important tool is my journal. And my advice is learn what journal suits you. Some of you may already be very attached to your journals and you know exactly what type of journal you need to use. But if you are just setting out on your journal journey, start to play around with what suits you. I know exactly what suits me because I've been journaling for many years. I like lines. I like a paper that's kind of a bit soft and silky. I like this size because it fits in my bag and I take my journal everywhere. Journal is like a roadmap to the inner world for me anyway. And so I take it wherever I am and everything goes in this journal. I also like to use the right pen, and I advise you to find the right pen. It has to be in a way, because a lot of journaling is automatic. What we're trying to do is access the unconscious and allow this deeper part of ourselves to move the pen. And so it has to be a very satisfying feeling, the actual writing, the longhand. And so I use a ink pen. I'm not saying you should use an ink pen. What I'm saying is you should try out lots of pens and see which one feels right for you. I also use a highlighter because as I go through my journal, there are things that I want to quickly be able to find, and I highlight them. So that's my journal. The second tool, which is also actually connected to my journal because I keep my journal by my bed so that if I wake up in the morning and I've got a dream in my head, I can write it down straight away. I'll leave a video underneath this video that I've already done on dreams. Suffice to say, we only have apparently about 30 seconds to remember our dreams in, so writing it down, even groggy-eyed when you wake up, is a very good idea, especially as dreams are really the signposts of our inner journey. They're a beautiful gift. They're untainted by the left brain or our judging, filtering self, so they're really worthwhile working with. Also in my bed, I have magnesium and CBD always next to my bed. And I've done this since my menopause, when I found that I'd wake up in the night and I couldn't go back to sleep. Now it's much better because I'm 60 and I'm post-menopause. But when I couldn't go back to sleep, this is my advice, instead of resisting and thinking, trying to get back to sleep and getting more and more frustrated, and this is terrible, what I would do is I would honor the fact that I had woken up in the night, because the night has a very different energy to the day. And I would work with that energy. I would, first of all, take some very good quality CBD, because I knew if I took this, within 45 minutes, I'd be sleepy again. So this is a very, very good CBD tincture made by a friend of mine. And I would take 2 magnesium, good quality magnesium tablets. And then I would get my journal out. I would journal. I would look at the moon. I would read. I would enjoy that nighttime darkness where everybody else is asleep to go inwards. And soon enough, I would always feel sleepy again because of the CBD and the magnesium. Okay, so getting out of the bed and the nighttime area, exercise. Now, I have an exercise regime that I've put into place with my husband, who I live with. We live on a mountain at 9,000 feet. So I'm not saying you should do the same as me. I'm just saying what I do. Because we need to find exercise that we enjoy, that isn't so hard that we don't want to do it and that we just give it up. We'll do it for a few days and then don't do it. We want something that can become part of our life, that can become regular, that if we don't do it, we miss it. So mine is, because I live so high up on a mountain, I just go out of my back door and we walk for half an hour. And the walking is up and down on uneven terrain, in and out along the side of the mountain, into the sort of um, undergrowth where it's nice and there are the more northern trees because there's shade. And it takes about half an hour. It works my core because it's very uneven. There's some going downhill, some going uphill, and the ground is uneven. And I love it. If I don't do it, I miss it. I take my dogs, I see the passing seasons, I'm in nature. So I know that not everybody can be in nature, but it is important to find some form of regular, daily, if possible, movement that you love, that you enjoy, that you're going to do easily. And if you're not in nature and you're in the city and you're going to the gym, for example, I would say that at least 2 or 3 times a month, it's worth making the effort to get into nature, especially during menopause and beyond, because this inward journey is mirrored by the wilderness. You know, what we're doing is we're exploring the wild feminine within us. And so if we go into the wilderness, just by seeing the wilderness, smelling the wilderness, being in the wilderness, this reflects the wilderness that's within our own psyche. So it's very important. I would make the effort to get into the wilderness regularly if you can. The other exercise I do, and this one is pushing myself, and I enjoy it for that, is skiing. So I live, again, very near a ski resort, so I'm very lucky. I get a monthly pass, which is much cheaper for local people, and I ski with my husband. It's something we can do together, but it's also a sport that pushes me. I want to stay young. I'm 60. I want to keep skiing until I'm in my 80s. I want to push myself. I want to do these things that have speed and slight danger to them. And at the same time, I connect to the mountain. So that's just me. I'm not saying you all have to go skiing. I'm sharing what I do. The other thing that I have found living in New Mexico that has been very, very helpful and become a big part of my life are the wild hot springs. So I go regularly to wild hot springs, at least 3 or 4 times a month. And the one I prefer is actually a 2-hour drive, but we go there quite often because the healing waters, the relaxation, the switching off, the being in neutral time, and being healed by the minerals is just become a very important part of my life. Actually, I went there the day before yesterday, and I've had some problems with my thyroid just being enlarged. I think I have Hashimoto's. But after being in the waters, my thyroid, which is often is at the moment a little bit swollen, had gone down, had shrunk. I know that everybody doesn't have hot springs next to them, and I'm not saying you have to. I'm just showing you what I do so you can find the things that are going to suit you. The other thing that is important for me is books. So I have a huge library. I get them secondhand. So if there's a book I like, I wait until it's secondhand on Amazon if I can't find it anywhere else, and they're usually not very expensive at all. I also use the local library a lot. So here's just 3 books that happen to be on my table: The Moon and the Virgin by Nor Hall. It's about the feminine archetypes, Healing and Empowering the Feminine, A Labyrinth Journey by Sylvia Shendel-Sinensky. And this is a classic by Maria Gimbutas, The Language of the Goddess, and it's about the archaeology of the ancient goddess symbols that were found all over the world. So those, I have hundreds of books, but being able to go within to explore my own feminine psyche and to have books that mirror this, I think is very important on our journey. And at first, when I first started reading a lot of this depth psychology stuff, it was a challenge to understand it, to understand the language, to understand the archetypes. But these are reference books, and I kept coming back to it. And the more I explored myself, the more they made sense. So a good library is excellent. I also go to the book boxes. I put books in there, and I take books that interest me out. That whole thing of, especially in today's world, giving yourself time to read every day, I think is extremely important. Meditation. So meditation, time to be in silence. in that neutral time where nothing's coming in and nothing's going out, and where we can have a download, something we learn things that we can't learn anywhere else but through our own silence, in a sense. And feeling ourselves in that silence is extremely important. And to go with the meditations, I also do look at a lot of guided journeys. So I'll do journeys myself. And then because of my teaching and the programs that I teach, I'll then share them with other women. I find that very, what's the word? It brings a lot of insight, because the imaginal realm is real. It's not the material world. And it's not the imagination where we get into these false imaginings when we've got anxiety, for example, and our minds get away with ourselves. The imaginal realm isn't to do with the mind. It's building a relationship with the unconscious. And so it is real in its own sense. And many of the women I work with get a lot of insights and messages and symbols and allies through the work of guided journeys. And that sort of, again, like dreams in a way, they act as signposts on our journey. And they come from within us. They're not fed to us from the outside. I also, as a tool, I use aromas a lot. I work with aromas. With my family, we have a small distillery now, professional distilling aromas. This is antique Texas cedar made from a 150-year-old log cabin that was taken down, and we distilled the wood, which is actually 250 years old, because the trees were 100 years old when they were put into the cabin. So, you know, that sense of all that wood has seen and been through is in the bottle. Also, I've made a blend. It's a Hecate blend. Hecate, who helps us on the crossroads of life, and she has the torches and helps us to find the way into the underworld. So, you know, I'll often put that on before I go to sleep. Actually, interestingly enough, studies have shown that if you smell aromas before sleeping, it's very, very helpful to your cognition and to preventing dementia. So I use aromas. Aromas help us to go beyond the default mode network and access the unconscious, access the imaginal realm. Okay, what else? Yes, I have an altar. I didn't want to take the camera to show you the altar because it would mean moving the camera, but I've got a few things that are on my altar. So this I made, I need to dress her. She's an ancestral doll I made when I did a lot of work on my mother line. I felt I needed to sort of represent that by this ancestral doll, and she's Indian because my mother line comes from India. This I got at the Kali temple in Calcutta, but I have to dress her. So she's a sort of symbol of my mother line and the mother line work of menopause and beyond. This was given to me by someone close to me for my birthday. It's an owl feather, so it really helps. You know, owls are a big part of my journey. So I use that. Here's a little tiny Indian sculpture of Kali, who I like because she's really part of the dark goddess, and the dark goddess is the mother of the crone. Okay, and so lastly, but not leastly, if you can say that, I use oracle cards. So I have a whole selection of them. These I wanted to share with you because I've been using them very recently. They were gifted to me by one of my students, and I love them. So, I mean, it's everybody has to find the right oracle deck for themselves. And they're a bit like, you know, a perfume or a blend. You'll wear it or use it for some time and then maybe put it away for a while and use another set. But this is really, really a good set. It's called the Radiant Tarot by Alexandra Eldridge and Tony Barnston. And I thought what would be nice is I could pull a card for everybody listening to this video today and in the future. What would be a message that women need regarding their toolboxes for the inner work at midlife and beyond, for accessing the feminine psyche? So here are the cards. Please, cards, show me the way, show me the right path to help all the women listening to this video for just something that sums up our toolboxes. Okay, so it's the Knight of Swords. Let's see what it says. I'll take a photo. I can put it at the bottom of the video. The Knight of Swords. We have a magpie in a coat of armor with a sword in his hand, riding a white horse in the sky. So let me get there. Knight of Swords, here we come. Seize the day. You are the hero of this story, charging hard for love and glory. So I love that. In terms of the toolbox, the knight has his white horse and he has his sword, and we need our tools to seize the day, to be the heroine of our own story. These are the things that help us to access that story, to go deeply, to know who we are. So the magpie knight drives forward on a charging white steed, wings flying behind like a cape, break open in a shout of glory. The knight raises a great sword in one hand and controls the charger with the other. Behind a sky of blue is rolling with energy and clouds, and the meaning is ambitious, impulsive. The Knight of Swords is all action and thought, driving forward in a full tilt charge towards the goal. And I think that's very important now. The journey of menopause in today's world is an opportunity to really seize the initiation that it offers us so that we can emerge at the other end in a empowered leadership quality for the world, for our grandchildren, for the next 7 generations. It isn't time to just sort of not be ambitious to how we can turn up and help the world become a better place. Okay, so I think it's about the inner masculine. That using the inner masculine in marriage with the feminine. The feminine is what we explore when we go deep within ourselves using these tools. And in a way, the inner masculine is what helps us bring what we find into the world through the manifestation of the feminine within us. So the inner masculine helps to give that form. So I think that's what it's saying. What I'll do is I'll take a photo of the page and the card, and I'll leave it in the comments below the video. So I hope that's useful. As I said, this isn't to say everybody has to have the same tools as me, but it's a conversation. Let's share with me, what are your tools and how do you use them and how do they help you? Lots of love. Oh, and if you like this channel, please subscribe.